Hello, I'm Jairus Rossi, research professor at University of Kentucky's Agricultural Economics Department, and what I'm talking about is some emerging research efforts and programming efforts around community-supported agriculture. And so one of the things we've seen in recent years, including and especially with COVID, is that CSA has become more well-known amongst people that are maybe not your traditional CSA consumer, so not your foodie, not your person who's very invested in local foods. The subscriber base for CSA has really broadened with COVID, especially when you saw supply chain disruptions and people looking for access to fresh local foods when their supermarkets were kind of missing some things. So for a lot of people, going to the supermarket, especially in that first year of the pandemic, was a risky endeavor. So creating a relationship directly with a farm where you could get food delivered or sent to a pretty safe pickup location every week was something that was desirable to a lot of people. So we saw a lot of consumer knowledge increase around CSA during that time. But even before that, we saw in some places, things like voucher programs, which our university has, which is, offsetting the cost of a subscription to a CSA. Voucher programs, produce prescription programs, other kind of incentives to lower the cost and make CSA more accessible to people that are initially shocked by the upfront cost, because CSA often requires putting in a lot of money right up front without knowing quite what you're getting. So if you don't have experience with the model, it can be difficult to take that first step. So vouchers like we have at our university helped broaden who was actually willing to take the chance on doing CSA. And so with that, you end up getting people with a lot of different consumer values related to food. So not your traditional foodie and whatnot. You got more people that are maybe looking at health aspects or convenience of CSA, and are looking for a safe experience of getting their vegetables. So what we did, one of our most recent research efforts is looking at consumer values in relation to CSA. So how are there different segments of people that value different things about the CSA model, or have different values that would lead them to not look into the CSA model. So what we're lucky with our voucher program that we actually have people. So in the beginning of the voucher season, our health and wellness organization sends out a call and says, we have this voucher, submit your interest, and so people then input their interest, and then later they're given the voucher, and then they have to follow through and actually choose a farm to subscribe to that farm, and they get the discount from the voucher. So then we have a group of people that initially say, yes, I'm interested in a voucher, but then they don't subscribe. And then we have a group of people that say, yes, I'm interested, and then ultimately do subscribe. So what we did was we gave a survey to both of those groups and sort of wanted to compare people that decided to subscribe and those who didn't subscribe. What kind of consumer values do they have? So the way that the survey works is that they're given 11 questions, and within those 11 questions, they have to choose the most important consumer value to their decision whether or not to subscribe, and their least important value. And so they do that 11 times. There are 11 total values. Each choice, there's five values presented in each of those choice sets. But in the end, what you end up being able to do is kind of look at what is relatively important to different groups of people. So what we found, and this is an initial effort of people just at UK, and we'd like to expand this in different geographic regions, to different employers, different demographic segments. But what we're able to do is, on one level, just look and see, for those who are subscribing, what is important generally. And what we see is that things like the quality of the vegetables, that's the thing that's motivating just the general, and before we break them down into different categories, that's what's the big driver. But the second most important thing is the perceived health benefits of subscribing to the CSA. So that's interesting, but with all of the third most important thing is environmental sustainability. So right there you have a value that's less related to the actual product itself and is more of a social environmental value. So that's signaling that people that are involved with CSA have broader concerns than maybe just if their food tastes good. So so that's one thing we found. And then when you compare it to the group of folks that were interested but ultimately didn't subscribe, the thing that was most important to them was affordability. So we interpret that as that is most important to them, and CSA is perceived as too expensive. So quality is the second most important value, and convenience is the third most important value. So again, you see something like convenience, people are looking at it, interested, think they might get quality vegetables, but ultimately it's too expensive and maybe too inconvenient to go to a place to pick up your vegetables. So that's interesting, but what becomes more interesting is when you start breaking it up into different groups. So we had a question where we asked if people had previous experience with CSA. So for people that didn't sign up this year, they had that question. So we had some people that didn't sign up but actually had previous experience. We had people that did sign up and had previous experience. So the people that didn't sign up but had experience before, they again were motivated by affordability. Spoiler alert, every group of people that didn't sign up was most influenced by the perceived cost of CSA. But the people with CSA experience that didn't subscribe, convenience no longer is one of the top values. So I think what's going on there is once you have experience with CSA, you realize that it actually can be a convenient way to get good quality produce. Because you see with people that had no experience and didn't sign up again, convenience is an important thing, so it's perceived as inconvenient. But people that did subscribe, what is kind of interesting there is that people that had experience and then subscribed in the next year, so people renewed their subscription, basically, people that are starting to become longer term, more invested in the model. What they see as important is quality. They also see variety of what they're getting as something that's pretty motivating. The health aspects of it are very important. The local and economic impact is important to them, and economic or environmental sustainability becomes important. And so you can do these kind of analyses with different groups of people, and the short of it is that different groups of people are motivated by different types of values. And so understanding who you're connecting with, and maybe what kind of needs they have in terms of maybe supplementary programming through health and wellness, or informational resources about maybe how to prepare foods, or how to make how to shop to get complementary things to make a meal, or just different kinds of resources can help different folks that are coming into CSA or are unconvinced of the model and may need some explanation as to what even this model is, how to make the best of it. And so with more support, you become more likely to see it as maybe not as inconvenient as you might suspect, or maybe it is actually very convenient. Two final pieces from this analysis, and this is very preliminary, but people that had no experience of CSA but then subscribed anyway, they saw affordability, they saw health as the most important thing, the potential health aspects of it. So the people that are maybe being incentivized through this voucher and not, what they're thinking is that they're going to get maybe some health benefits, or maybe they're motivated by getting healthier. But they see affordability as the second most important thing. So we read that as being, they still see it as expensive. And but that kind of affordability and that concern with affordability, once you actually have experience with CSA, that disappears from the people that subscribe year after year. So That's one piece of research we're doing, and we're excited to see how that goes. Another, and this is again related to the fact that we have more people coming into CSA that are not, traditional CSA consumers. It's a peer promotion program, and so we've done some research that says people, during the pandemic, people that came to CSA for the first time were motivated not by social media, but by word of mouth. So people talking about, oh, I did this thing, and you might want to check it out. And this became one of the most important marketing tools, not anything on the internet or advertisements. It was knowing someone who did it and had a positive experience. So what we are doing is experimenting with a peer promotion group, finding people that are very invested in the CSA model and who can talk knowledgeably about it to their peers across different parts of the university. And so what they do each week over the summer is just talk about CSA to people, invite people to their pickup to show what it looks like in practice. It may be to make something with their CSA box and share it with their coworkers and then talk about it. It may be taking a friend who doesn't have experience with CSA on a farm visit. It may be actually mentoring someone who is in a CSA for the first time and is struggling with understanding how to make use of all the vegetables that you get each week. So this is another piece that we're doing to try to, because we've acknowledged that there are new people coming to the model, and that having any kind of community interaction, bringing back relationships and figuring out how to create a culture of engagement with CSA amongst peers. We think that will help increase people initially signing up and increase maybe people's satisfaction with their experience, which has been shown to lead to a higher willingness to resubscribe in future years to the CSA. Okay, and then finally we've got, I think we will have some links embedded with all of this video and the 3 previous that give you information about how to do a CSA voucher program at your university or your workplace, some resources on working with crop budgets if you're a farmer and maybe wanted to explore the economic aspects of doing a CSA, and just some general resources developed about impact, and some technical resources about different aspects of doing CSA in different places that have been created by various people across the country and then given to the national CSA network of which we're part. Thank you.